So I guess I just go down the list. It says advocate number one against same-sex marriage. What principles of effective speaking did you see in his speech? I think it's talking about the videos we watched, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 So I
And
think the
sorry. I'll take the notes this week for us.
We don't have to
Okay.
take notes.
Yeah, we don't have. No. Okay.
are we not taking notes?
We just sum it at the end, summarize what we talked about at the end.
Oh, okay. Okay, so in the first video, was the question what did you like? Is that what it was? I don't remember.
What principles of effective speaking did you see in his speech?
Oh, I think that I mean, he was really direct. He was really, like as far as speaking, like he was really passionate. I don't think he was very effective with how he communicated, but I mean, as far as like the highlights, I think that he was really direct and was really passionate about what he was talking about. So,
Right.
I thought he was really confident with his material.
Mm-hmm.
I like the scripture references that he used to back up his argument, or so that was kind of like, it makes you realize that it's just not like he's not talking just to defend what he believes, but he actually has backup information and like stuff that helps him, sound more truthful from what he's talking about. He's not just making it up. If I'm making sense, sorry.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, like we said, the next question was what was the basis and the premise for his stance. So, I'd say God's word. He pretty much just relied on the Bible the whole time.
Yeah, totally. He drove
Good.
that pretty hard.
Yeah, it was good, but it was also, I thought that was also ineffective because
Yes.
Well, totally, because
not everyone believes in the Bible or wants to relate to that. So it was a little too
pushy.
He like generalized or like used a specific audience just in his mind instead of speaking to like all different types of people, I think.
Right. It was very one-sided.
Those Christians, and there's more than just Christians out there for sure.
Yeah.
The next question is, if you were on the fence when it comes to same-sex marriage, how would you feel about after listening to his speech?
I think because he was kind of more pushy and really one-sided. Like if I was on the fence, I don't know, I'd kind of almost feel a little bit like hesitant to want to jump in and take his side, just because I feel like he, I mean, like even quoting like the Bible verses and stuff, like yeah, that was good information, but I feel like it was just a little bit too judgmental and just really one-sided. So it kind of turned me off a little bit, but I'm sure
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I felt like I was listening to someone demand me to think something rather than like persuade me.
Right.
What was less effective about his speech?
I think his tone.
Right.
Also, like the way, like you guys were saying, like he was only one-sided, and he only pointed out people that, one, know the Bible, two, are Christians. So if you already have those two, you're not really trying to convince them, you're more reaffirming. So if you're like going over there to convince people, you're gonna have to be a little bit more broad and have more like evidence or something that backs you up.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but I was distracted because he kept like swaying back and forth and like
Yeah. He had like awkward pauses and he was swaying.
yeah.
Yeah. My goodness.
It got really tricky.
I think one of the things just about what was less effective was I think all of his arguments could have had a lot of like a lot of foundation, a lot of ground, like even a lot of pull with people if he had connected with his audience beforehand. And so like appealing to the Bible, I think there's no problem with that. And especially in certain circumstances, that can be a very effective thing. But I think you also need to take the time to connect. So the second person, we'll get to that later, but he really told the story, right? And it was, you could connect to the individuals and similar trials that they had faced and things like that. And although I disagree with what he said, I can connect with the emotion. And I think that's what maybe was missing with this other guy is he didn't take the, or at least in the clip we saw, didn't take the time to make him seem very human. And then I think the same arguments could totally change and become very valid and very persuasive if that was the case.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you.
I agree.
Okay, so for advocate number 2 for same-sex marriage, it's basically the same questions, but I could repeat them. What principles are effective speaking did you see in his speech?
So I think like Danny was saying, he actually had like a story to start with, and so we were able to really feel like, oh, well, he has a family and he feels love and a lot of those emotions that we all can relate to. So it had like an immediate connection with the audience.
Right.
Yeah, you definitely felt more emotion, and it helped me to feel better, like connected to what he was saying. Like I didn't feel like I was being like yelled at or pushed to like think a certain way. I can into a different view. And so I think he presented himself really well, regardless of maybe not necessarily agree with his stance, but at the end, I was feeling like angry or like he was pushing nicely.
He was very relatable. I can relate. He was talking about my family is not different than your family. So I was, in a different with 2 moms or whatever. But the point of what he was trying to say was like, just because I was raised by 2 moms, that did not affect how I was raised. And I like how he says, if I was your kid, I would be one of those. I will make you proud, because he also tells you what he has done. It wasn't just like he was just saying, being raised by a parent did not affect me, and he didn't have like a house, or he didn't have a career or anything. So he gave us something to back up his approach, I guess.
What are you doing, Papa?
For my notes, I just felt like the words just kind of rolled off his tongue. Like it just felt natural to me. It didn't feel like awkward, like he was reading from something. And like everyone else said, I think he connected with his audience, which is really key in persuading someone.
The next question is, what was the basis and or the premise for his stance?
I think he just pushed that he was just like everybody else. That it was a family. It wasn't, he had 2 moms, and so he was different than any other family. He just kind of emphasized that it was a family like everybody else. So.
Right.
And what's interesting is actually, I think this question probably has the biggest difference between the three people that we either watched or read. In that the first person was very much like based on authority, so he went back to the Bible and he's like, this is where I'm getting my authority from. And the person who we're going to talk about, the next person, had a lot of facts and statistics or like trends and like arguments for why he believed what he did. And this person was actually all just personal experience, right? Almost I would argue too much the other way, where guaranteed his circumstances do not apply to everyone in his position, right? Everyone does not turn out like that, just like everyone doesn't turn out the other way. But saying that there's no difference and things like that because I'm no different would be as silly as me saying, or like as not grounded in reliability, validity, I don't know, as me saying because I live in Canada and it's really cold here, it must be cold for everyone else too, right? Like it's that broad of a thing that I feel like he did do a really good job connecting to people. But as far as and for conveying exactly what he wanted to, right? Just like in my experience, this is it. But I think what was missing was, what about everyone else too? What about, those type of situations? So, which I think the third guy did really well.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, with the second guy, I almost felt like there was a sense of like arrogance to him, which kind of was a turn off. Like to like hear him speak, like he was like better than most people and stuff. So.
Yeah. I guess we can move to the next question. If you were on the fence when it comes to same-sex marriage, how would you feel after listening to his speech?
So I think because he did use pretty much only experience, like I wouldn't change my opinion, but I would like soften my perspective and try to be like more understanding. But I don't think for me, I need more like statistics and proof, evidence to back up things. But I do like that he used more experience.
Right. Like, this is hard, because like I've always been on the fence about it, but like more recently I've pushed more to the side where I don't think it's all right to do so. I mean, the guy, he mentioned in his argument that just because what did he say, something about how gay parents are not as good parents? I don't believe that. I don't believe that gay parents are not as good parents, but what I don't get is why they're fighting to have the same, wanting to have the same rights of marriage, because to me it's like going back to what we believe, what we've been taught as growing up, like from the scriptures and from what we've heard, that it's not okay, that God does not, he's not okay with that, because he did not invent, or he did not say Adam and Adam, it's Adam and Eve. That's where we come from, and it's kind of sucks to talk about this, because, some of us might have family members or friends. And for me, like, I have a best friend and he's gay, and it came out of nowhere because all through high school I thought he was straight, and then once we went and parted our own ways and university and all this stuff, he just came out of nowhere and said, "Oh, I'm gay." He was a sophomore, and so I was like, okay, I still respect you and I still love you, and but I guess our views are different, and it's just for this guy to fight for what he believes. I mean, kudos to him. But I'm still, I don't know if I'd vote to legalize that. I mean, obviously it's already legal in California, but you know what I mean. And so I know it's kind of hard. It's a really hard decision to come about, but
Right.
I do believe that marriage was for a man and woman. As for parenting, You know, I'm not saying that you can't be a parent and be gay. You know, that's not what it's about. It's just talking about same-sex marriage. You know, it's just I don't know.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, that's a
I
good
think
point.
when we really go back to just being a society and how gay marriage would affect the society, when raising the nuclear family of the nuclear family of society is just family in general. We go back to having a mother and a father in children. That's the most basic thing of what society believes. And when we take away that foundation, our society will change in many ways because it also will affect marriage in many other ways. So I think that would be my defense on um, how it would really affect society in even birth rate on the are we gonna be able to have more children? And people are more willing to have more children if there were more gay marriage,
mm-hmm.
or are there gonna be more adopting children that are already are already born? So I don't know. I obviously we all believe that shouldn't be right, but I mean it has to be something more than just believing that it's right. How
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna affect in a greater picture.
And I think when it comes to defending your position, whichever way that ends up being, or to whatever extent it ends up being, because I think there isn't just like an against or for. I think some of the principles from the article by Matt Walsh apply into that. So as far as effective writing go, one of the things that I liked is he was good at covering a lot of bases. So again, whether you agree with it or not, just as far as persuasive writing goes, he covered 3 different areas why he thought that it was why he took the stance that he did. But also, I really like how he called out all the people who weren't going to listen just before it happened, right? Like, I think that was pretty, because it's true. Like, I don't know who thinks that they're going to change someone's mind when they write things, but it probably happens very infrequently, is my guess. Because most people
Mm-hmm.
usually have their mind pretty made up before they read something. But I feel like doing that, in a way, it's funny, but in a way, connected him with his audience, even the people who may disagree with him, because they may have like taken time to like kind of laugh at themselves a bit and realize, okay, yeah, I guess I would do that, and then actually listen to his argument. So I actually thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I really love him. I like follow a lot of his stuff. And I
Yeah, I
think
like that. I like how he used a lot of
No,
like.
Jane.
I'm trying to go
oh,
on
sorry,
this.
go ahead.
I'm trying to go like this. Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not gonna promise. I'm not gonna do it again. I'm sorry. I was trying to go over him.
Anyways,
Yeah,
I
she
like
goes
that
around.
he brought up both sides.
I promise I'm gonna
That
do
he
it
wasn't just
again.
really pushing um, on
So
one side. You
mean.
know, he made a point to recognize the other side and had a lot of good information. So I really like him. I think he's a great writer and always has a lot of interesting things to say. So
Yeah, you said exactly like what I was gonna say. I was like all the information he presented, while he had a lot of support to cover his view.
And what's kind of cool is that we got to watch the other guys give their presentations, so you get to see how they're presenting it and the emotion they have, or for instance, whether they're swaying back and forth. But what I think is interesting is we didn't with Matt Walsh's article, right? You just read it, and yet it still was very, it was really well written, and it was persuasive. Whether doesn't mean you were like swayed by his opinion, but I mean it was like good persuasive writing, and that says a lot about this validity of his arguments and points.
Yeah, I agree. It was really thorough, and the format was just really neat and clean, and that's what I like when I read. So it's like easy to understand, and I just felt like I was like more persuaded.
So we already started talking about the article, so it kind of answered some of the questions. They're basically the same questions as the video, but I think the only thing we still haven't answered is what was less effective about his article.
I didn't come up with anyone for this answer.
Yeah, I really couldn't think of anything. Like I was trying to, like I was trying to think of something that he did wrong, but there really, I mean, as far as writing goes, and I think that he hit both sides really, you know, firm with his stance. So I don't really think there was anything that I would accuse or say that he did wrong.
There was one that I thought of, and really like his thing was very solid. But I when he was referring to the Bible and the scriptures about how God commanded it to be this way and so forth, if he would have even just put like a parentheses and then the scripture verse he was talking about, it would have helped, I think, just give more validity to what he just said, because I know a lot of people interpret the Bible very differently, right? And so to be able to say, here's where I'm getting this from, could have helped this argument. But it's small, but I think it could have helped.
That's a good point.
Well, looks like we're almost done here.
Yeah, the only thing is, what questions do you still have? And that's like the very last question on the list. So, unless you guys have any more questions or anything else to add.
We just need to do a summary, right?
No.
Quick summary or no?
Are we doing the summary in the video?
Yeah.
Well, we kind of put all the stuff together because we kind of compare with the different writers or the two different videos. So I don't know if you guys want to add anything else.
I think if we were to summarize it, like to really boil it down, as far as, because we're studying persuasive speaking and persuasive writing. So as far as that goes, I think some of the things that I would mention that we talked about were always connect with your audience. That was one of the things we learned from the first guy. So take the time to tell a story or something, or tell something about yourself so that you seem more human. They can identify with that. Two is what we learned from the second guy, was that sometimes you can do that all you want, but you also need to be able to back it up with kind of a more broad argument of here's how it affects other people, or here's, this part of it, and looking at it from other angles. And then three, if you do that, you end up like the guy who wrote the third article, which was just pretty solid all around. So
Yeah, good balance between the two. That's
Right.
I think you did a really good summary.
thanks.
That is a great summary. Yeah.
I don't know if any of you have started the last assignment, or not last assignment, but there's always like one bigger assignment in our persuasive writing thing. I haven't yet, but I think that would be good to keep in mind, right? Is to take the time to share like personal experiences and things like that, and then make sure you have stuff to back it up and other sources and things like that. That makes a good article. And Alicia said about keeping it concise and very clearly, like from point to point, really helps not lose someone, and it keeps their interest, which is huge.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
We did it today. Yay.
Yeah, we got the through.
All right, I'm gonna stop the live feed.
Perfect.
Awesome.